thoughts are too big. Can I get some comfort, please? I guess I should have been honest. A break to my heart. It's weighing me down, baby. I'm like a river that's overflowed. The sooner you know it, the less do we hurt. Let me speak the truth. I know you don't wanna face it. You think it's too late, but I can see past the rain. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighter.
Hello and welcome to the Woolly Wolverine podcast. My name is Laura and I am the host. This is episode 34, I believe. I believe so. If it's not, I do apologise. If you've been with me for the last 33 episodes, you'll be used to my somewhat scatty ways every now and then. If not, welcome, and it's great to have you on board. And to all the returning subscribers and viewers, it was so lovely to get all your comments on my last video, that you'd missed me and that you were happy I was back. That's really nice to hear, and it gives me motivation to come back and catch up with everyone. So, as I said, it's been 2 weeks since I last podcast, and I wanted to just drop in and give a little bit of progress, or show the progress that I've made on any of the works in progress I've been talking about. So I wanted to try and stay to a somewhat regular schedule. Even though I haven't made a huge amount of progress, I still wanted to come back, and that's kind of down to a number of things. So kind of staying on track with the crafty side of things is something that I'm trying to do towards the end of this year. And also I'm quite motivated because lots of my favourite podcasters have come back from a hiatus, and YouTube seemed to be alive with new knitting podcasts again, which was great. It was lovely to catch up with Caroline from Dundernit and Little Bobbins, Danny, some of my favourites, and also people who've been churning them out week after week, even in the current climate, is inspirational. So I wanted to make sure that I was keeping up with it, because it's something that I really enjoy, and I'm quite motivated to continue knitting now at the moment, which is great. So I don't want to lose momentum on that. So that's a little spiel. I don't know, I just thought I'd share. So today is Sunday, the 8th of November. And it's a nice day. The setup here is a bit weird. I know it's not very picturesque. This is Peaches. She's a little monkey teddy bear I've had a very long time. But I'm near the window and the light is very nice. So I thought that this would be good to kind of show off some of the knitty stuff, because the last one was a bit hit and miss in terms of the lighting. So I think this is slightly better. So you've got wardrobe and bedroom. So yes, I'm coming to you from my bedroom in Kildare in Ireland, where I live with my family, my mum, my dad, my 2 sisters and my 2 cats, Nova and Pip, who you would have seen you're going to see a lot of them. So I think most knitters are cat people though, so they don't mind cat spam. Yeah, so I suppose I will get on to the works in progress that I have. So these are no different from what I showed last week, but I will show you the progress that I've made. So I'm mid-row, which is always the way. So I am knitting on, I've stayed pretty much monogamous in terms of my projects. I have kind of 2 long-term big blankets on the go, which I showed one last week. I don't have my crochet one to hand, but I'll show it again next time to show where I am on that. I have a sweater and a pair of socks kind of on the go. So this is the sweater project I'm working on. So a lot of people will probably recognise this. This was a very popular pattern, I think last year or the year before. This is the Tecumseh by Caitlin Hunter, or Boylan Knitworks. And it is quite a poncho-like type sweater, I guess. It's quite oversized, so I have made a couple of modifications in terms of the sizing. I haven't used the same amount of ease as was recommended in the pattern, as that just doesn't really suit my body shape. I saw on the Ravelry pages that a lot of people have modified this so that the sleeves kind of start before the second kind of colour work section, and I think that's to kind of counteract the poncho-y bat wings type thing, which I'm just hoping for the best. So this does fit me. I've tried it on before. I've split for the sleeves now, so I've made a good bit of progress. This little progress keeper is where I was last time I podcast, and this is a little bunny that I got from Hannah of the Corner of Craft, and these are like my favourite progress keepers. They're so cute and she's so talented, and I am lucky enough to have 2 or 3 of them, which I've purchased over the last few years. So this is knit out of Rauma. Do I have the ball band? I think I do. Yeah. So Rauma Strick yarn, and I believe this is a DK weight. It's 100% Norwegian wool, and it is 108 meters, pardon me, for 50 grams. So it's traditional kind of Norwegian wool. It's nice and sticky for colour work and kind of rustic. So it's going to turn out, well, I think it's turning out very nice. So this colour is nearly black. I think that's what it's called, but to me it's a very, 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 very dark grey. And it is accompanied by a lighter grey and a pink. So when I started this, I wasn't sure if I wanted the feathers in pink and the crosses in grey, the lighter grey, but I think I'm happy with what I've chosen. So I've made a good bit of progress from the last time I podcast to today. So I should hopefully have the body done by the next time. That's what I'm aiming for, to have the body done by the time I podcast again. I think I'm pretty much on gauge. I don't think I've made any modifications, so we'll give this a go, other than the kind of positive ease and just the size I picked. I just picked a smaller size. It does fit, I did say that though, I think. I tried it on before I split for the sleeves, and it does kind of sit maybe here, and then it's going to be, I hope it's not too restrictive, but I think it should be fine. And yeah, I really like this colour. I've seen a few people lately commenting on the fact that they want black sweaters, which is something that I can get on board with, because I do wear a lot of black. I do wear a lot of pastels, but I also wear a lot of black. I saw Tracy from the Grocery Girls, and she's knitting with a true black yarn, and that looks fantastic. I'd say it's very difficult. Like, this is hard enough to read, but there is kind of heathering in it, and you can counter stitches. I am kind of catching, my floats aren't the best. They're fine. I don't really use consistent. I'm not very consistent with my floats. Sometimes I catch them every stitch, sometimes I'm every second, but I'm kind of blocking as I go, kind of adjusting stitches. I think it's turning out well. I do like it. So yeah, I've split for the sleeves. So it's body and then sleeve island. But at least with sleeve island there'll be some interest of colour work, so it won't just be constant same colour. Well, hopefully. I don't have as much of these two as I do of the main colour, obviously, and I'm hopeful that I have enough light grey, so I might need to do some adjustments in terms of the colour work on the sleeves, but we'll see. Yeah, so these are the 3 colours that I'm using. I got this yarn at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, last year. Oh, I never said what I'm wearing. So this sweater is the Spellman sweater by Tristan of Dragon Hoard Yarns, and I actually had the pleasure of meeting her at Edinburgh last year as well, and she's an absolute delight. She's so lovely, and this sweater is absolutely gorgeous. So it's basically just a top down raglan with a bit of interest on the sleeves, which for anyone who's not a fan of Sleeve Island, the longest socks in the world is what sleeves are basically. This is brilliant because you're doing something different you're keeping the cable or you've got the bobbles, so it's something. So this is quite cropped. I wear it, I'll stand up and see if you can see. So I'm wearing it, I have it very cropped. But this is just what I wanted. So I wear high-waisted jeans quite regularly, so it just sits at the top of my waist, and it's kind of the smallest part of me. So this kind of shape does suit me. This yarn, let's talk about the yarn. So this colour is me. As you can see, I'm blending into my surroundings. So this is Fine Fish Yarns in the colourway Lilith, and it is fingering and mohair held double, or held together. And you can see the glow, or the halo. You can see that halo, isn't it pretty? And so there's like, it's a very moody, greyish, muted purple, but it does have speckles of kind of this goldy orange and black. Now the mohair has dulled down some of the speckles, but I really love it. This colour is so lovely and it's so soft. And I don't find it itchy. I don't have anything on underneath this, and it's perfect. It's no itchiness at all. So I really love it. So that's what I'm wearing. I think I said everything about this. I think you can, and actually I knit this, so I knit I think the second smallest size because I wanted it quite fitted. And also I wanted it quite cropped, so I only needed two skeins of each, so fingering and mohair, and I have a little bit left over. So sorry, next is, so I showed last week a pair of socks that I was working on, and I had mentioned that I wasn't 100% happy with them, and that kind of continued. Oh, I'm after knocking that, you're moving around, sorry. So that kind of continued as I was working on them for another couple of days after I'd podcast, and I was trying different stitch patterns and different colours, and it just wasn't working. So I pulled it out and just knit a little tube with the stripes. And these are minis that I got in my Sweet Sparrow advent calendar last year. And I just love these. I think they're so these three are the minis that I got in the advent, and this is Giddy Ant yarns, yes, Giddy Ant yarns in Nari, and I love it. So this is just it's a shorty. I just knit a tube, so I'm going to cut in an afterthought heel, but I'm much happier with this. I did keep note of some of the stitch patterns that I did like. It just wasn't working out in terms of this yarn, and I will potentially be putting that into another pattern that will be for sale at some stage down the line. But at the moment I just wanted something easy, so this was a really nice just round and round, and it's going to be just a short sock, little Christmassy sock. So I've one done, haven't cast on the second one, but I will this week. So that's that. So nothing too exciting. So these are Sweet Sparrow advent. I think they're on our yak base, and this red is just spectacular. Like, I'd definitely get a sweater of that for Christmas. Yowza. So that is pretty much all I have been knitting on. I have a few bits that I need to start in terms of gift knits for Christmas. Nothing major. I'm going to do small pieces for a few very knitworthy people that I usually would knit for. And I don't really want to talk about it because I'm not sure if they will watch, but there's one or two that I'm quite excited for to get started on. So I'll be starting them in the next week because it is the start of November. Eek. So I've taken part in the Lay Family Yarn Advent Swap, and I put my box together this week to send off, and it's in the post. It's going in the post on Monday to send off to Caroline in the UK, who is my swap partner. I'm really hopeful that she likes everything that's in her box, but I loved putting that together. It's I love putting gifts together and swaps together for other people. And I love receiving them as well because you get a good mix of different yarns for blankets and colours that you wouldn't usually pick. And I really like that. So Kelly organises that pretty much every year, I think, for Advent, and I was lucky enough to get involved, and I can't wait to send that off on Monday. So I did go with crazy. I think I was saying this before on Advents this year. I think I bought 3 Advent calendars. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'll make a blanket out of all my Advent minis this year. They'll all go in there and not go into my existing ones, because I think I have plenty of other scraps that can go into them, and I think that would be a bit fun. Just a 2020 happy memory out of Advents, the best time of year. That's my plan. So I'm thinking of maybe doing, so at the moment I have a northeasterly and a granny stripe crochet. I'm thinking potentially a pinwheel scrap blanket by Mina Phillip, or the log cabin, I think it's log cabin blanket, which is another knitted blanket that I saw Nora George is knitting out of her Harry Potter blanket club, which I'm actually a part of, and I need to figure out a blanket to do for them as well. I might even do the same one because it's really, really pretty. So yeah, I think a pinwheel might be fun for the Advents. I really want to do a Battenberg as well, but I think I prefer where they alternate with the Battenberg. So I'd like to have a bit more freedom in terms of colour placement and be a bit more selective in terms of that. Whereas with Advents, I think a pinwheel one is what I'm going to do, because I think that can just be all out crazy. So I can't wait. So that's what I'm going to do with my Advents this year, I think. But if anyone has any other blanket recommendations, throw them down below, because I think that would be fun, just to have an Advent only blanket. 2020. 2020's turning around though, guys. I can feel it. So, because I am being quite monogamous, I let myself dream in terms of what would be next to be cast on, and I'm trying to knit from stash basically, so I'm trying not to buy any more sweater quantities. And it had been a long time since I'd gone on Ravelry and really browsed through a lot of patterns. I've seen 1 or 2 as they've been released on Instagram. Also, sorry, I'll leave all my details below in terms of my Instagram and my Ravelry in case you want to follow me. I keep all my projects well, not really up to date. I add in a few notes, and I will say what yarn I'm using and put pictures and stuff. So they'll all be linked down below for anything I'm talking about. So yes, I went on to Ravelry and I did a bit of digging in terms of patterns. So I'd been a little bit out of the loop in terms of patterns that had come out maybe in this year. So I have filled my favourites list and my sweater list in terms of what I want to knit. Some of my stash has projects against it already, some doesn't. So I have three yarns that I didn't have projects for. So I will show, well actually that's a lie. The one that I'm going to show, I did have a plan, and now I think I'm going to change it. So I will show that first. So this yarn here is, there I've got 4 of them. So I've got 2 mohair and 2 fingering. Aren't they beautiful? So I'll show this up in more detail. So this yarn is, has lots of my hair on it, which happens a lot. So this is Ullen yarn, who I think has a mill now. She's an Irish-based Jess, and I think I got this yarn at Woolen, the first year of Woolen, which I think was 2018. I think it was. So this is Interlude. Don't know if you can see that. Interlude. And this is a very pink, creamy base with lovely golden swabs and navy and bright pops of pink. This kind of rusty colour in there as well. It's beautiful. So I am thinking with this alongside this beautiful mohair. Look at this. So this is Sweet Sparrow. So Julie has my number in terms of all things colour. just kindred spirits, I think, in terms of the pastels and the coziness. So this is Dusty Rose. This is one of my favourite pinks. I think it's just beautiful. So I'm thinking holding these together and doing... So originally I'd planned to do a ranunculus, but I think potentially I might do a Love Note by Tin Can Knits. I missed the Love Note train. I see everyone has knit Love Notes, but I missed it for some reason and I want to get on board. So this, I think this might be a Love Note. What do people think? Let me know. So ranunculus, I'll put pictures, I'll try and put pictures of, I think I can still do that, here of both options, and let me know what you think. But this yarn is me. I love it. So I don't know what, I can't remember what I was going to say there. Nope, it's gone. So next up, I don't know which one to go for next. Okay, I'll show this one. So this yarn here, now I know what you're saying. If you're a returning viewer, you're saying, Laura, that's not a colour you'd normally pick. And I'd say, yes, you are correct, viewer. This is beautiful Old Maiden Ant in the Seeing the Ocean colourway. And it is 100% superwash merino, 400 yards per 100 grams. And I really like it. I know it isn't me, but it's such a beautiful colour. So I picked this up at Edinburgh last year. I think it was my last minute purchase. So Old Maiden Ant is very reasonable in terms of hand-dyed yarn, and she gives you good bang for your buck. And her colours are just so pigmented and beautiful. Look at this, look at that colour. Oh, it's bathing in that light. So I just think, even if it's not something that I'd usually pick, I just think I couldn't say no to it, and it just jumped out at me. So I picked it up, and I think I want a jumper. So I have 3 skeins of this. So I went searching on Ravelry for kind of plain enough with maybe a cable detail or something, just a small bit of interest, but pretty plain is what I initially set out to look for. And I came across a pattern by Suzanne Summers, and I always go to say Suzanne Jackson. So there's an Irish blogger here called So Sue Me, and I think Suzanne Summers is like So Sue Knits. So Sue Me is like a makeup blogger here, and I always get confused. But anyway, that's a little segue. So this is, yeah, so I was thinking maybe doing grid lines, which is a plain enough pattern. It just has kind of slip stitch by the looks of it and garter ridges to make squares that kind of stand out. I thought that might be interesting. But then whilst going through some of her patterns, I spotted the Lizzie sweater, which is quite a relaxed fit with a yoke of brioche-ish triangles type thing. And I've only really knit front and back brioche, so I'd like to do something a little bit more challenging. So I looked in my stash to see, is there anything that I can do with that? And it's kind of, so it is 2 colours. But I suppose you could do it in one, but no. I spotted this, okay, and this is a skein I've had in my stash for a very long time. I got it as a gift from a very dear friend of mine, years and years and years ago. And it is Hedgehog Skinny Singles in the colour Ravelry. And again, it's not something I would naturally gravitate to, but I think with this in the Lizzie, I think it would be really, really nice. What do you think? Am I crazy? I just think something different sometimes might be nice. A bit of a pop. And then I can go back to my comfort of pastels, which I have a lot of. So yeah, I think the Lizzie may be what I'm going to go for. Because it'll have something, new to learn in the brioche, and it's just a bit different in terms of colours on this colour. But even this, so hedgehog fibres, like the more I look at this, the more I like it. So like the purples and the greens, and I think it just really would play with this really well. Like I think it's a bit of fun. This is the Skinny Singles, which is 100 grams, 366 meters, 100% merino. Now, hedgehog, so Beata of Hedgehog makes the most beautiful colours. And I've never knit with the singles. I've knit with the sock base, which I found a bit splitty, to be honest. But this singles I think would be quite nice because you wouldn't have that problem. So yeah, let me know what you think of that, please, because I need a bit of confidence on that one. Finally, so another designer that everyone knows of, which I've obviously just been sleepy buys in terms of keeping up in the world of designers and knitters, and I don't know where I've been. So Sari Nordland, beautiful patterns, really like aesthetically pleasing, plain but interest, just yeah, she has some beautiful patterns. So Poet by Sari Nordland is something that is beautiful. So it's kind of an all over lacy, cabley, textured sweater. So I'm thinking, now I'm not too sure on this yarn. I love this yarn, but I'm not sure if it's a match made in heaven because it is tweed, and I'm not sure if that will show up at its best, but it is beautiful. Prepare yourselves. Oh. So look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? So this is Julie. Julie of Sweet Sparrow Yarns, and it is Blackberry Mousse, and it is beautiful, and it's on her house round base, which is a beautiful tweed. So it has lovely swabs of darker purple and kind of lighter areas, and it's just beautiful. So I'm thinking maybe a Poet in this, because it's plain enough. I love this colour. It's like, Laura, stop buying the same yarn colours all the time. It's like, no, I won't. You can't make me. So, Poet in this. What do we think of that? Let me know. So that's all. They're my 3 potentials for once I finish my Tecumseh. So let me know what you think. Other than that, I think that's all my nitty content for today. I will have a little talk about some of the things that I've been watching and reading and other bits. So if you're not interested in that, you may leave. Of course, sorry. So yeah, so I've been watching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. I'm not sure if anyone else has, but I love it. I finished it last night actually. And it's a Netflix original. I think it's only 6 episodes. You'd fly through it, and it's about a young girl who is really good at chess, in a summary, and the acting in it's really good, and the characters I really liked. Beautiful. So it's set in the 60s, and her clothes are amazing, and her eyeliner, like I'm a flick eyeliner, and she does that a lot, so I was in love with her, and her hair, and she's got really red hair. She's beautiful. But it's a really, really good show. I would recommend it very highly. Also watching The Mandalorian, as I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and I love it. So it's season 2 of The Mandalorian at the moment, and I just watched episode 2 of that last night, and it's just so rich in terms of Star Wars lore. So I'm sure if you're a Star Wars fan, you've watched it and you love it. I'm not sure how accessible or how much you'd get from it if you weren't a big Star Wars fan. I think it's still watchable, but you may not be as fanatical as some people are. Maybe me. And also, I've been watching Dawson's Creek, which has been added back to the UK and Ireland, Netflix anyway. I'm not sure if it's on in the US, but it's hilarious. So I watched that when I was a teenager, and I just was in love with everyone in it. I used to watch it so much, and watching it back is absolutely hilarious. Like the fact that I thought that it was reasonable for 15-year-olds to talk like that. It's gas. But it's really good, and I've absolutely binged through like I think 6 or 7 episodes over this weekend. It's been lovely. Yeah, so as well as that, we started up a book club in work. So because I work in a big enough company here in Ireland, we've all been working from home since March, and we haven't seen each other except for Skype calls, which are exhausting. And in order to kind of give us a sense of engagement and belonging and social aspects, we started a book club in my department, and we've done 3 months now, which is great. And it's nice to have something different to do. So I love reading, but I don't put enough time aside for myself to actually do it. So it's to have the book club kind of makes you read the book. So we've read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, I think. I should have wrote these down. I think that's who that was by. And so we've read 3 books, and all of them I'd say didn't set my world on fire, but I enjoyed, which isn't the worst. So that reminded me a bit of To Kill a Mockingbird a little bit, in the same kind of tone and historical context. I don't think it's set as far back, but it's set in Carolina, and you can really, the author is really good at kind of painting that picture. Like, you can taste how hot it is and the swamps, and it's just, yeah. Was it North Carolina? I may have made that up. Yeah, so I did enjoy that. I won't go too much into detail on the plot because I don't want to spoil it if people want to read it, but I believe Reese Witherspoon included that in her book club, or they might be making a film of it. I know Reese Witherspoon has mentioned it before, and it was everywhere, so I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. So yeah, I'd give that maybe 3.5 out of 5. That's my rating. That's the Woolly Wolverine rating of that book. Next was The Silent Patient by Alex something. I'll include a little picture here. That was what I'll say is it's quite a paint by numbers murder mystery, trying to be a little bit different. And I don't know, for me it didn't 100% succeed. So again, 3.5. So that one is about a woman who kills her husband and then won't talk. She's in a institution, and she won't speak, and the psychiatrist is trying to get her to speak, and that's kind of the whole book. The Silent Patient is her. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It reminds me kind of the same kind of tone as The Girl on the Train and Gone Girl maybe, or Gillian Flynn type books. So yeah, if you like them kind of things, I'd give it a go. And it was highly recommended, and a lot of people in the club really liked it. It was kind of polarizing. It was one where you either hated it or loved it. Some people found it a bit ugh, and other people flew through it in like a week and loved it. So yeah, maybe give that a go if you're into murder mysteries, crime type stuff. Then the third book we read was by, I meant to look this up and I just finished it. For people who watch Pointless, it is the judge guy on the quiz show Pointless who wrote it, and it's called The Thursday Murder Club. And again, it's a murder mystery that's a little bit different. So it's about a group of people who are in a retirement community or an old folks home type thing, and they rehash kind of cold cases or murders, and then there's one nearby and they're trying to solve it. So there is some humour in it some of the characters are really well written, but I found it kind of went on a bit long. so it dragged out a little bit in terms of who done it for me personally. By the end of it, I was kind of like, I've kind of lost interest a little bit. It didn't move along as quick as I would have liked. But again, it was very enjoyable and very readable, and I would recommend it. So I'd recommend all of them, in fact. So that's good. And then we've chosen The Gentleman of Moscow for our next book. And I have not even started it, so I can't even tell. I haven't even read the blurb. But it looks a bit different. I think it is about a man who is in house arrest in 1920s Russia. So that's completely different. Unless there's a murder in his hotel room, which is possible. So yeah, that is what I've been reading, what I've been watching. Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing in this pandemic that we're all getting through at the moment. So yeah, I think that's everything for today. If you've any questions or comments or tips for blankets and yarn, let me know. So if there are sweaters that you're like, Laura, you need to knit, it's fingering weight in this, let me know. If there's fingering weight sweaters that I've just missed, you know, tell me about them, because I've been out the loop. But yeah, it's been really great catching up with all my knitty stuff, and I'm so excited to keep going. I have a few ideas in terms of content that I want to give to you or make for you guys, and patterns that I want to start knitting up and potentially releasing for sale. And yeah, I'm just really motivated with craft, which is so nice. So yes, I hope everyone is keeping safe and well and happy and healthy, and I will talk to you all again in 2 weeks, hopefully. Bye!
In the flame.